The Bible says, "Fill your hungry soul with what's good." When we eat, we share, we grow. Every meal is a chance to be fed and to feed someone else. Life is like cooking. When it works, it doesn't matter if the process is fancy or simple. Good food and a life well lived comes down to how much heart you put in. Welcome back. This time around, we're celebrating Mother's Day, and we're celebrating it with one of my favorite recipes. This is a recipe for corn cookies. I found this recipe a little while ago, and it's from a restaurant out of New York called Momofuku Milk Bar. And they do amazing desserts there, and I found this recipe online. And the chef that designed this recipe, her name is Christina Tosi. But before we get started making these cookies for Mother's Day, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what Mother's Day might mean for some people. In my family, I have a pretty good relationship with my mom, and before my grandmother passed away, we had just a really long line of women. You've heard me talk a lot of times about getting the recipes from my grandmother, cooking with her, getting the recipes from my mom, cooking with her, and so on and so forth. And those are the things that I pass down to my daughter as well. But not everybody has that close relationship with their moms. Sometimes Mother's Day can be really difficult for people. If your mom has passed on and you're without her this year and there's a little bit of sadness or sorrow, please know that you're not alone and that a lot of people feel this way. Or maybe you had a mom that was absent, or you didn't know your mother growing up, or maybe there was some kind of hardship or abuse that was going on in your family. Please also know that you're not alone in that either. But I think the important part to focus on when we celebrate Mother's Day or celebrate that mom energy that we sort of all feel, whether you're a biological mom or not, we all have children in our lives that we love and we take care of, and we cherish those times. But again, I think what we focus on is the things that we can gather from those memories. So if you had a really beautiful upbringing with a very close family, you know that you can take those traditions and carry them forward. If you didn't have such a good childhood, maybe it's time to focus on the blessing of now you know what not to do as children come into your life. You have a better understanding of what doesn't feel so good or what is hurtful. And so I think when we focus on finding the good in whatever circumstances that we have, whether it's that your mom is not here and you're really focusing on remembering the blessings and the beautiful times that you had with her, I think that that can be really healing. So whatever way that you celebrate Mother's Day, we're here cheering you on, and there's so many people that are in your same boat and your same circumstance. And I just want to share that. And I wish everybody out there, if you're a biological mom or not, I want to wish every mom out there a happy Mother's Day. So let's get started making one of my favorite cookies on the planet, these corn cookies. So the first thing that we want to do is add 2 sticks of room temperature butter to your stand mixer, and you want the paddle attachment on it. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can just get one of those handheld ones, but you are gonna need to mix this really, really thoroughly for this recipe. Next thing that we wanna do is add our sugar to the room temperature butter. And we're gonna mix this for about 1.5 minutes. We're gonna take a minute and scrape down the sides of the bowl. Then we're going to add the egg. Now this is the important part. We wanna leave this mixing on a low to medium speed for about 8 minutes or so. That's gonna incorporate the egg, the butter, the sugar, and it's gonna make these cookies really, really fluffy. We wanna put as much air into this base as possible. So set a timer for about 8 minutes or so and just let it mix. I know it seems like a really long time. And again, if you're doing the handheld mixer, you're just gonna have to sit there and set a timer and keep mixing it around. Make it as fluffy as possible. So do you see how fluffy this is? So we just want to take a minute and scrape down the sides. And then we'll get ready to add our dry mixture. Another really unique feature and ingredient in these cookies is this is dehydrated corn. Now you can find this in the stores. It usually comes in a bag, and it's about 65 grams or about a cup and a half. And what we're gonna do is we're going to make this into a powder with our food processor. So when you pick up the bag, go ahead and, like I said, it's just dried out corn, but it's not like popcorn. It is actually dehydrated kernels. We're just gonna pulse this until it becomes a powder. So now we wanna prepare our dry ingredients. So we have our flour here, and to that, we're gonna add our baking soda, our baking powder, and salt. Just give that a little bit of a mix. So the first thing that we're gonna do is add our dehydrated corn powder. Then corn flour. Then our regular flour mixture that we put our baking soda, baking powder, and salt in. We're gonna blend this on a low speed. First of all, you don't want your flour to go everywhere, but also we want to mix this just until it's combined. We don't want to overmix it, otherwise your cookies are going to get really tough. So if you've seen my channel before, you know what this is, and this is just a 1/4 cup ice cream scoop, but it's really good. It's good for cupcakes, it's good for cookies. Now this recipe calls for 1/3 of a cup, and that's how much each cookie is. So I just overfill this just a little bit to get that 1/3 of a cup. You know, everybody has traditions that they do on Mother's Day, and whether that's taking your mom out for lunch or for brunch, or, you know, buying her favorite perfume or anything like that. Everybody does things every year that are kind of traditional. One of the things that I do is every Mother's Day, I wear my grandmother's pearl earrings. And they're the pearl earrings that my grandfather actually gave her when they were stationed over in Japan during World War II, and they came from Okinawa. And so I always wear them, and I have them on today. So that's one of my little things that I like to do. Just, it reminds me of her, it brings me closer to the memories, and it feels like I'm just a little bit closer to my family in general, even though I can't be with them every Mother's Day. Now these cookies have to sit in the fridge for at least 45 minutes for the butter to firm back up, and that's gonna give you a really good result with your cookies. You can go a little bit longer. In fact, you can even have them in overnight. But before you put them in the refrigerator to chill them out, we're just gonna press them down just a little bit. If you're gonna keep them in the fridge overnight, you probably will wanna put some plastic wrap over it just so that they don't absorb the taste and smells of the fridge. So I love to serve these cookies with a sour lime whipped cream. And it's super easy to make, but it makes all the difference, and you dip your cookie in right at the very end, and it's fantastic. It makes for a wonderful treat for anybody. The first thing that you wanna do is add your heavy whipping cream. And here comes the sour cream, and that's where the sour lime whipped cream comes from. We wanna add a little bit of sweetness, so some powdered sugar or some confectioner's sugar, and the zest of half of a lime. Then you wanna give this a mix until it is the consistency of whipped cream. These cookies go into the oven at 350 degrees for 18 minutes. Thanks for watching. You can find the full recipe in the description box below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel.